Alright, so I'm going to shift this video around a little, so it's not going to be all just me standing here talking. You'll see some of me out in the woods talking about this too. So I've been watching this, I watched this documentary. This was in the Amazon in Colombia, down in the Amazon, where this plane crashed and four kids survived. They survived in the jungle for 40 days by themselves, and they had the Colombian military army in there looking for them. And there was a group of civilians from the community that was also in there looking for them. So I want to show you this here. I want to show you what the army guy said, because they were talking about these beings being in there, and they couldn't see them. They could hear them running around you. You could hear them running around you. And you could even feel them touch you, but you can't see them. Okay, so watching this, The Lost Children. This is some kids. This was 4 kids that survived a plane crash in the Amazon. So this was in Colombia, in the Amazon. And these the military and some searchers from the community were out here looking for these kids for 40 days. And they found them alive. Okay, I had to go back into my video here. I was downloading this to YouTube, and YouTube banned it because I had something on here from Netflix. Alright, so it said I could go back in and mute the Netflix. So that's what I'm going to do here. I muted the Netflix part. So I'm just going to tell you what's going on here in the video, and then you can go to Netflix and watch it. But right here they're talking about how something strange. They were sensing something strange, like they were being watched at their camps. Alright, so they felt like they were being watched while they were at camp, and they switched to going out at night instead of the daytime. And at nighttime they felt a presence around them. And this one guy here in the Colombian military army, he was talking about how he could feel something out there at night with them. How it could actually touch them and they couldn't see it. And he talks about how scared he was. So this guy is military trained to be out there in the jungles at night and for combat. Yet he was scared because there was something around them that they couldn't see. They knew it was there. They could feel it. They could feel them touching them. Alright, and then it goes into they're talking about what they were going through here, trying to find the kids, the 2 different teams, the military team and the civilian team. So this right here is where he was talking about how he was scared out there at night because of what was there. Alright, and then it goes into the civilians here that were out there from the community that stayed out there the whole 40 days. So they made this stuff out of natural stuff out there for the shaman to take. This is the shaman there of the group. of the community. So he took this stuff here, and it helped him go into a trance, and it helped him to see through the jungle. He said he felt like he had turned into a tiger and was prowling through the jungle as a tiger. So this is like a shapeshifter type thing going on here with the shaman, and it allowed him to see things in the jungle. So he was actually able to find the kids, find where they're at. So once he actually got to the kids and seen where they were, then he come out of the trance. But this then he was able to send his men. The next morning he sent his group out in that direction where he had seen where the kids were, and they found the kids that afternoon. But you'll have to go on to Netflix here and watch that if you have access to Netflix. So I can't play the audio because of YouTube. I can't play the audio. But this is simulating what he was seeing as he was a tiger prowling around through there. And then when he got up to see the kids, all 4 kids alive, still after 40 days in the Amazon jungle. This is a really good documentary. So you come across stuff in documentaries like this that have nothing to do with Bigfoot or Bigfoot research. You have stuff that crosses over into what we're doing. So that's where he found the kids, and then, like I said, the next morning he was able to send his men out, his party, and they found the kids alive. So it's a lot similar to what we're having happen here in our area. And this is all part of quantum physics. Even though he didn't, he wasn't talking about quantum physics, the Colombian Army guy. But what he's describing is quantum physics, because we only see 1% of the light spectrum. And there's a lot more to the light spectrum. And so these beings that are around, and they're around us here too. I catch them on thermal camera quite a bit. The thermal's part of the light spectrum. The infrared is part of the light spectrum we can't see, as well as X-rays, gamma rays, the radio frequency, the microwave current. And also included in that is the AM and FM radio frequencies. So most everybody's familiar with that, listening to the radio. AM radio, FM radio. That's part of the light spectrum too, that quantum physics has discovered and explains. So I just wanted to show you that, because sometimes you're watching something in these documentaries and it doesn't have anything to do with Bigfoot, Sasquatch, but yet you'll have stuff cross over like this happening with us in our research. So I just wanted to show you this. So this is on Netflix. It's called The Lost Children. It's a real good documentary. But I just wanted to show you this because there's parts here that are unexplained, unexplainable. Things that happen, the same things happen here with us. Things happen here with other Bigfoot researchers. Things that happen with people when they're out hunting or out hiking, or even just driving the cars and they see something and they can't explain. They feel like they're being watched. Things like that. In this part here, that military guy, he said that they could run around you and you couldn't see them and they could touch you. There's things like that happening too to people that I know, where they can actually touch you while you're out there in the woods searching, and you cannot see them. All right, so let's talk about portals here a little bit, because I'm shifting some of my focus now towards trying to see if I can determine where the portals are. As you see, I'm walking around out here with the tri-field meter. I'm checking the elevations. You can see some of the elevations are showing me up higher in the air than what I am when I'm on the ground. Out there at the Green Swamp, it's 90 foot elevation to 100 foot elevation mostly. And some of the places were showing 150 something foot, 172 foot that I was above ground out there. So checking the magnetic electric currents that are getting out there too as well. And the human body puts out about 0.1, 0.2 of that. But then when it starts spiking and going up more, that's what I'm trying to determine if I'm around a portal or if they're using the portals. So the portals and dimensions, I mean, that's common. It's getting more common now because NASA's come out and said that they're studying portals. You get all the physicists are talking about dimensions, all the different dimensions. The quantum physicists said there's 11 dimensions, and a lot of them talk about a lot more dimensions than that. The quantum, so you'll see me start talking a lot more about quantum physics. Quantum physics has brought a lot of technology to us from a long time, and quantum physics is nothing new. We started back around 1690, somewhere around 1690, I think I did in a video. Some of the physicists started doing tests and studies, and it's been the last couple hundred years has been a lot of famous quantum physicists doing studies, doing tests, doing studies, writing out papers, getting them published, things like that. Let the traffic get by. Alright, so what I was getting at is we now know that everything is made out of atoms and everything vibrates. Everything vibrates at its own frequency. So I'm using stuff like that too to determine the radio frequency. When we're getting frequencies, I'm using that to do some of these tests that I'm doing out there, and that we were doing with the guys, with Chris Connor, Chris Reinhardt, Bud, which is Robert Online, and Joey Bruce. So when we were out in the Green Swamp doing all our tests and stuff, that's some of the things we were using was like the tone generator and the bull roar, using things like that to get frequencies and seeing if we get any results from them. So everything vibrates, and it vibrates at its own frequencies. So the human body vibrates, everything vibrates. My clothes, my truck, the camcorder, everything vibrates at its own frequencies. So we know that now too because of quantum physics. So part of what I'm doing here, so when I just recently went out and put these 3 videos together, this one being here that I caught, I'm pretty sure he's a Sasquatch, and doing my tests here, and I'm still going to do more, but my comparison tests where I was checking the distance and filming myself, I was trying to get myself at the same distance he was and trying to get the trees trying to find the exact trees he was at. But what I did get, I got trees that were close in size in that same area right there. And I got myself at distances from 10 yards, 15, 20, 25, and 30 yards. So I could get some comparisons between my size and the tree sizes, and then to where he was standing in the tree sizes, and to how close he was to me and how big he was. So you can see right here, when I compared these, it looks to me like 15 yards is about where he was from me, the distance. And you'll see in here too, in the videos there, I marked out 10 yards with my tape measure, and then I walk it. I always start with my left foot, and I count my steps, and then once I'm to 10 yards, then I can duplicate that in the woods. And I did that hunting years ago when I was hunting a lot, archery hunting. I would use that to set up a marker from my tree stand at 10 yards, 15 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards. So when I got up in my tree stand, I knew exactly the distance. If a deer come by, I knew exactly the distance where he was to shoot at. So that's just a part of hunting. It's a part of military. It's a part of engineering. It's marking out your paces like that and the steps to know the distances. Alright, so it looks to me like about 15 yards away from me is where he was. That's how close he was to me. And in these comparisons too, you can see he's a lot bigger than I am. He would have been a lot bigger than me. So I'm figuring he's at least 8 foot, maybe 9 foot tall from looking at the comparisons. And we're still going to go back. Wynnette's going to go back with me. We're going to get out there and search around right in there and try to find the exact trees that he was standing at, and try to get them on camera, and then do another comparison with me standing right there where he actually was. So we're still working on that. So also I wanted to show you a couple things here from some of the different documentaries I've watched here recently. And then also here's another one. Here's another show I was watching because I try to learn about a lot of different things, especially to have to do with our research and get more knowledge. So this one's about the trees. This is a documentary talking about the trees and the because I keep saying the trees have energy. Everything's made of atoms and vibrates. Everything vibrates. So these trees have energy, and I believe these Bigfoot, Sasquatch are using the trees because of their energy in them. And I think they have certain ones that they can go through portals due to the tree's energy. So I want to show you this one part here where the lady's talking about the trees here, about the energy. Okay, so here's something else I want to show you. This is called Intelligent Trees. This documentary here talking about the trees, and Intelligent Trees is what it's called. This one's on Amazon Prime.
And I found that when we removed certain species of their neighbors, that trees actually became ill. They became diseased, and they were more at risk of insect attack. And I wanted to understand why that was the case. And so I thought that some of the story might be going on below ground.
What we call a tree is only what is visible above ground. We consider a tree to consist only of trunk and crown. However, the major part of its life takes place underground.
What happens in the forest is actually more than what meets the eye. The root system of a tree can spread as far as 2 to 4 times the diameter of its crown. Only scientists with state-of-the-art research techniques are able to dig deep enough into this matter to uncover that these roots are more than only water pipes.
I started looking at the root systems, and I found that the roots of these different species, when they grew together, birch and fir and cedar and hemlock, they were all intertwined and linked together. And I learned later on through more research as I went into my PhD that these root systems actually formed what's called a mycorrhizal fungal association. And mycorrhizal fungi are certain species of fungi which associate with all of the tree species worldwide, and they form a mutualistic relationship where the fungus grows in the root and provides the root with nutrients and water that the fungus gathers up from the soil.
So we can learn a lot out
Mushrooms are
here.
only the fruiting bodies of fungi. Just
When we're out here in the woods, in the swamps, and this helps us to understand what's going on with the trees, and with the mushrooms here, which you're fixing to see. So they're saying the mushrooms are actually just the fruit part of the mushroom system. So like when we're finding these, what I've been calling the black vine moss, which is actually what I found is actually called horsehair fungi, and that has a big part of the tree system out there. That has a lot to do with the trees out there and the tree system and the mushroom system and the mushrooms that are connected all underneath the ground and connected to the trees. There's a lot more going on out here with the trees and stuff, and you know, there's a lot of natural stuff we see out here as well. There's a lot of bug damage, bugs killing trees. But let me continue on here a little bit more.
it's like apples are the fruit of apple trees. Fungi are very underestimated organisms, because so far most of us appreciate only the fruit. Fungi can spread over several square kilometers. 1 teaspoon of soil may contain several kilometers of string-like hyphae that form the internet of the forest. For their services, they charge sugar and other products of tree photosynthesis. The tree shares up to 1/3 of its total production with the fungi.
We found when we
So I'm
mapped
showing you
these
this to
forests
show the
that
connection
all
of the trees.
were all linked together in a single massive network. So then I thought, okay, if they're linked below ground, then what are these linkages about? How does this actually affect how trees are growing?
So we can learn a lot from this, from
We
shows
did
like
some more
this too, to
sophisticated
help in our
experiments
research.
once we knew these links.
And then I got one more part here I'm going to show you too.
Traced it from
There's a
that
little
tree
more of
to
how
its
everything's
neighbor,
connected
and we
here.
found that actually these carbon molecules were moving from one tree to another tree through these mycorrhizal networks. And so then we went on and we thought, okay, if carbon is involved, maybe there's other molecules that are involved as well. And so we started labeling trees with nitrogen and phosphorus and deuterated water. And we found that all of these elements actually move back and forth between the trees. That was sort of the rudimentary understanding of the language of trees. So these birch trees here.
So this is showing me too that like I keep talking about with quantum physics and the everything's atoms and everything is vibrating, and that shows you right there that the trees are alive, everything's moving around through them, stuff's moving from one tree to another, and mushrooms, trees moving through the trees, moving through the mushrooms, moving to the other trees, because everything's connected there. And I think that has that plays a big important role in what we're trying to figure out here with the portals, the dimensions, how the Sasquatch are moving around from the trees, how they seem to be moving like behind the trees and staying real close to the trees, and when people are seeing them, it's like they're peeking out from behind trees and staying real close to the tree. I think this is all connected here. So here's something that's really interesting too about trees.
Normally, trees would rather cuddle and stand closely together. They love company and like to take things slow. We need to relearn that trees do not need to be separated from alleged competitors. On the contrary, we need to allow them to live in tight groups, just as they like it.
Bei Bäumen gibt es tatsächlich Freundschaft.
There is, in fact, friendship among trees. It doesn't happen very often because tree seedlings cannot choose whom they will be growing next to for the rest of their lives. Maybe 1 out of 50 trees will become friends with its neighbor, like these two. They grow their branches away from each other so that they don't interfere.
Partner, und zwar so, dass sie sich nicht gegenseitig ins Gehege kommen, verwurzeln sich
Their roots intertwine intensively. It's like an old couple. If one of them dies, the one left behind might suffer and die soon after.
auch stirbt. Wenn die
That's pretty
sozialen
interesting.
For
There.
a tree,
And then I'll show you this one thermal image I got here. And it's that's an oak tree, and you can see a head popping out of it right there at the fork of the tree. And oak trees don't look like that. And if you look close, you can see there's kind of like a circle opening, an opening kind of around the head, where you can kind of see into the portal. You can see other trees and stuff on inside the portal behind him. So I'm going back to refilm that area as well. And find that tree. I want to find that oak tree and refilm it with the thermal camera. Anyway, a lot of times you watching these documentaries on UFOs, aliens, things like that, you get stuff that crosses over into the field that we're researching. And I've caught a couple of the gray aliens in my thermal footage. You see that sometimes. And apparently they're using the light spectrum, quantum physics as well. You hear a lot of times where they're on the gray aliens, and you also hear it with Sasquatch, where they can come into somebody's home. They can just like vibrate through the wall and come into somebody's home. And then they vibrate and go back out. You'll see people have actually seen them do it. Billy Carson's one of them. I've watched Billy Carson quite a bit. And he had 2 of them come into his house and then leave. And they put some kind of thought into his mind where he started researching it. And did really good with it. So that's a part of quantum physics. And like if you watch the series of Flash, the superhero Flash, if you ever watched the series, I think there was 9 seasons. He learns how to vibrate fast enough that he moves through walls and doors and stuff. So I mean, that's all part of quantum physics. Everything vibrates. And you can meditate and do things like that to actually raise your vibrations a little. Well, I think that has a lot to do with them going in and out of portals or dimensions and things like that. Like you hear the gray aliens moving through walls, coming in, abducting people and leaving, and just going through the walls from vibrations. Alright, so what I'm talking about with vibrations and everything vibrates on its own frequencies is like, how do you think this being or this Sasquatch which I'm pretty sure it's a Sasquatch. I've been calling it that now. It looks real human. It looked to me a lot like maybe an Indian shaman. But I've been calling it a Sasquatch. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Especially now seeing how big it is compared to me. So anyway, what I was getting at is with them being vibrating like they do and different from us, I believe that's a lot of the reason why we can't catch them on video, on film. They're not just an ape running around out there that nobody can get on video or pictures of. So anyway, if that was a person standing within 15 feet of us, 15 yards of us like that, all of us that were there that day would have seen it. And there was just me and Wynette and a couple other people. But still, we would have seen them if there was a person standing there. And you standing out in the open like that, even if you're wearing all camouflage, you're still going to be seen. But too, now that you see the comparison here, you can see he's a lot bigger than me. So that's not a regular person standing there. That's a 9-foot Sasquatch. Alright, so that's what I'm trying to explain with some of the quantum physics. He could have either been in partly in another dimension and we couldn't see him. It could have had something to do with his body vibrating different than ours, that the cameras are not picking up, or our eyes cannot see, because our eyes can only see a certain small part of the light spectrum. Let me say that again. So our eyes can only see a small part of the light spectrum, and that probably had a lot to do with it there, that we could not see him because he was in a different part of the light spectrum. Probably had to do with him coming in and out of a dimension. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he was coming out of another dimension and standing there watching us. He stood there and watched us go by. So that's what I'm thinking. I think he was coming through another dimension into ours and was standing there watching us go by. Alright, so I'm going to keep doing research in this area. Keep doing more, showing more about it here. Okay, what I'm talking about too here is with everything being atoms and everything vibrating. And this is a part of quantum physics. So I want to play this little part right here. This is quantum physics.
In life is vibration.
Here, I'm gonna enlarge it.
In life is vibration. There is nothing in the universe which does not vibrate. Every single atom, molecule, each bond between atoms, all the particles in the universe, our body, Earth, all stars, galaxies, and even the whole universe are all in constant vibration. They all are vibrating at certain frequency. The string theory also says everything in the universe is made up of extremely small, one-dimensional vibrating objects known as strings. It is the vibrational state of the strings which is responsible for mass, charge, and other properties of the matter. These strings are the smallest thing in the universe. As all these things are made up of these tiny vibrating strings, it means everything present in the universe vibrates at some frequency. According to the greatest genius of all the time, Nikola Tesla, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
So that's what we're doing here. That's what I'm doing right here. Everything's energy, frequency, and vibrations. And that's part of what I'm doing here with my my experiments that I'm doing with frequencies. And this is what I keep talking about with the trees have energy. And I believe that the Sasquatch, they use the trees. That's why you see them up really close behind the trees. It's like they're they're almost hugging the tree, and then when they're peeking around, things like that, I believe they actually use the energy from the trees. And I think that's why you see a lot of the tree structures that we do. They're using the energy from the trees. Quantum physics, because we only see 1% of the light spectrum, and there's a lot more to the light spectrum. And so these beings that are around, and they're around us here too. I catch them on thermal camera quite a bit. The thermal's part of the light spectrum. The infrared is part of the light spectrum we can't see, as well as X-rays, gamma rays, the radio frequency, the microwave current, and also included in that is the AM and FM radio frequencies. So most everybody's familiar with that, listening to the radio, AM radio, FM radio. That's part of the light spectrum too, that quantum physics has discovered and explains. So I just wanted to show you that, because sometimes you're watching something in these documentaries and it doesn't have anything to do with Bigfoot, Sasquatch, but yet you'll have stuff cross over like this happening with us in our research. Alright, I think that'll wrap up this video for now. Trying to bring some information